It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
But the patience and the aggression they showed in getting Zadarius Smith, who we all thought was going to Baltimore, that was a very clever move. So they clearly understand their window is to win now, right? The Kirk Cousins window. Let's kind of explain it like that. While Kirk's playing at a good level, to win with him now and to go out and get players that can help them win, supplant that with some good draft picks. You know, Kwesi's got to go out there and get some good players in that first draft to establish short-term and long-term support for Kirk and then whoever replaces him in the coming years.
Steve Wyche, NFL Network, talking about the Vikings' window of opportunity, which they clearly see as being able to win now, despite having a new coach and GM. And welcome to comments from YouTube. Judd Zolgad, Declan Goff, a show where your comments are what we do our best to try and answer each and every Monday. And, of course, with Phil until we also do a comments from towards the end of the week, I should say. So, Declan, without further ado, let's get right to it. What do we have from the listeners and the viewers?
We have some draft questions. We have some overarching theme questions, Judd. Got a lot of good comments. And, of course, we have some Judd comments at the end of the show that I'm very excited. A man is... Remember we talked about Judd was the air fryer? Remember we were playing ourselves like food appliances? This man has brought a new addition to that I am very excited to share at the end of the show. A little brief tease. Because the one thing, we always care about the Vikings first, care about the NFL, and then Judd third. That's how we do this on the show.
I'd say that's
so
fair.
That's a fair pecking order. He's the QB3 in the room, but, always exciting to talk about that.
Okay.
Let's start with this one, Judd. RV on our YouTube comment section. And by the way, if you want one of your questions answered, shoot it right here on this YouTube channel. Send us some feedback via the Score North app. It's only a central hub for everything we do. RV says, I wouldn't call it run it back with the 2022 Vikings. How about retool? Skull, love the show. What do you think about RV saying it's a retool? We've heard a lot of buzzwords in Minnesota. We heard tweaks from Paul Fenton. What was that, Judd, like 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, yeah, because Craig Leopold had said when he hired Paul Fenton that he just thought the team was in need of tweaks.
We have kind of coined run it back since they're bringing back Kirk. They brought back Pat P. They're mostly the core of this roster is still in place despite back-to-back no playoff seasons in 20 and 21. How would you feel about retool instead of running it back?
Well, I think that we've talked about that a little bit, and a retool to me would be doing what we suggested, which is because I don't think it's a rebuild. You were never going to blow up the entire thing, because if you blew up the entire thing, are we talking about Justin Jefferson? Well, he's not going to be traded. There are young components here that we definitely like. And so I think we landed on retool for what we thought that they should do. So I guess I have trouble calling this a retool. Like I get what he is saying, and I wouldn't vehemently argue about it. But I think my interpretation of retool and that interpretation of retool are different. So this to me feels like this does literally feel like a few tweaks. Like this feels like tweaks. This feels like what the Wild had to learn was not possible. And I think that these guys are going to learn the same thing. So retool to me was the path I would have gone down, because I think that's fair. A rebuild in football, I don't know that you really do one. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you strip it down to the studs? I don't think you really do.
Stripping it to the studs and start, that's what Seattle's now doing, right? Seattle's stripping it down. They trade away Russell Wilson. The Legion of Boom has now came and went.
Metcalf comes back, not as much, but yeah. But you're always going to have young players that you keep around.
Right. Atlanta, getting rid of Matt Ryan. They're now retooling. Went to Super Bowl 5 years ago. They're now retooling, right? They've said goodbye to their franchise guy. So I agree. It's few and far between. It doesn't happen as much as in baseball. Obviously, resetting the page happens a lot, and that takes time, right? That takes years.
The Oakland A's are stripping it down to the studs. The Baltimore Orioles have been doing it for 4 years.
To be honest, what I think the Vikings are doing kind of reminds me of I have a car maintenance schedule coming up here. Kind of like they're rotating your tires here. We've changed the oil.
Yep.
We rotated your tires. You've driven 5,000 miles here. We're going to rotate the tires here.
Yep. But the engine remains
intact.
intact.
Engine remains the same.
Yep.
with easy maintenance fixes that have to happen, right? We're not selling the car. We're not taking out anything.
Right.
We're rotating your tires and we're making sure it runs still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is just two different interpretations of how the word retool can be used.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to be. All right, see here, next one. Bart, no relation to Bart Simpson, but Bart says, I agree that minimum is wild card as a wild card experience. If health is on our side for once, I see a championship game appearance. So Bart going very bullish on this 2022 Vikings. He thinks the minimum is a wild card appearance for the Vikings, and that a championship game appearance, barring this team staying healthy, should be the bar.
So if you interpret this like I am, I don't disagree with him, especially for the wild card game, because I think what he's saying is with what they're doing and the confidence that they have, that if they don't make the playoffs, it's a disaster.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, the championship game, I guess, I don't know. I can't see that one. But anyway, going down the path that they are pursuing, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a unmitigated disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not my opinion. That's what they're doing. They're giving themselves, and this is where I come back to good luck KOC, because they're giving themselves no out for we were trying to do this or that. There's immediate pressure now to win and win fairly big. So if I'm interpreting Bart's comment correctly, I don't disagree certainly with the expectation of playoffs. And if you don't make the playoffs, I think you're going to have to ask some questions.
I personally think as it's constructed, them making an NFC championship game or expecting the expectation of the 2022 team to make the championship game is just a little too far off at this point.
But the playoff isn't.
But the playoffs is not.
I mean, they are constructing themselves as if they will be a playoff team.
Correct.
And make a run at the Packers.
I love this comment from Phyllis Dale. Yeah, 2 playoff wins would be great for the Vikings. And I think these playoff wins, by the way, are coming from the Event Line episode I did on this last Sunday. I asked some listeners, what is your expectations? And they gave me playoff expectations. So that's where some of these are coming from.
Okay.
So Phyllis Dale on that video says 2 playoff wins would be great. But I'm hoping Kirk will have a cold Surly and unwind a little bit to become confident in his own ability without Zimmer's heavy-handed control steering him. And Kirk needs to hang out with JJ, drinking Surly, dancing the gritty, so we can watch the video on our TCL TV in our cool Chill Boys underwear.
This guy gets
Skol
it.
Vikings, keep the faith. Phyllis Dale, we don't do this. That's the comment of the show right there.
That is awesome.
That's what we want to see.
That is a great comment. We appreciate that. And you know what? Now that we're on the topic,
may as well.
Let's quickly talk about our friends at Surly Brewing. Now, of course, my go-to, my ace is the Surly Furious, the best IPA in town, as we've declared on this show previously. In our opinion, the best IPA in the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
You got to try it. It's fantastic. Show us your cans at JZolgate on Twitter, at Score North. But Declan, I want to bring you in here because somebody tweeted us a picture of a Surly product that I've not tried yet, but I found it at my liquor store, and I'm going to try it now. Tell me about Drips and Drops.
Drips and Drops, hazy IPA. My guy Jared at my local watering hole hooked me up in Minneapolis over the weekend and let me try it. Very good hazy IPA. Personally, I don't like hazy IPA.
I'm ordinarily with you, so this is why I want it. But I saw you say ordinarily I don't like it, but I like this.
Yeah, no, this is not as pungent and as strong as a hazier IPA.
Okay, good.
And to be honest, as I talk about beers I'm not a fan of, I'm not a fan of sours. I don't really like sour beers. But the Drips and Drops has a little bit of like the sour to kind of negate the bitterness that is in also the traditional IPA. So it has like a little taste to it, a little sweetness to it that I think is very good. Drips and Drops. Check it out. Yes, a brand new Surly product.
Surly Brewing, outstanding as always. Basically, what Declan is saying there is absolutely correct, which is when it comes to Surly, you can never go wrong.
Couple of offensive line questions from our Where's the Beef episode that was also posted on Monday, talking about Chris Reed, the former Purple Cow, as I like to call him, from Minnesota State Mankato, who signed with the Vikings and was a solid guard with the Colts last season.
Yep.
Devil Dog, though, on our YouTube comment section says, I love that they're adding some veteran players in the O-line. He may not be Pro Bowl caliber, but just being solid in the middle could have some great benefits, should help with depth as well. And in addition to right guard, there should be competition for starting center. Let the 2 best players play. Devil Dog, kind of speaking to the choir here
Devil
on how
Dog,
the offensive line should
calling
be
it.
working.
Exactly. On Reed, I said last night, I am extremely positive and optimistic that the Vikings signed what appears to be a very average guard. And it's true. It's true. I looked into that signing in particular and said, okay, I'm at least on board here. I'm at least on board. As far as the competition with Garrett Bradbury at center, agree completely. So that note there is nothing I can add to that note that I don't already agree with and think.
Another offensive line comment here too from Sport QC Guy 96. Gotta love our YouTube comment section here. He says, I'm hoping Reed turns into a Josh Klein type player. Remember Josh Klein from the 2020 Vikings?
One
Similar
season.
Situation, right?
Yes, very much.
Solid, without many worries, and plays at league average level.
Yeah, Josh Klein wasn't great, but he was okay.
Yeah.
And I would say after the last 2 years of Dakota Dozier, who I think was on the left side at left guard, and then obviously Cleveland, who eventually became the right guard in 2020, moved to left guard in 2021, and the now infamous Oli Udoh experiment took place. Yes, I would say that unfortunately, because this is damning with faint praise, that you would bring Josh Klein back. Like you would take that. And so if Reed can step in and be solid, at least it's a start. And to go back to what we also discussed on Purple Daily Monday, which is, I think, true. We also have to keep in mind that this coaching staff is convinced they can make Kirk more effective with an offensive line that's not great. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. They think that they can coach Kirk. They really want to go through the complete Zolgadian experience here of the ultimate puppet string quarterback. Like they're going to have Kirk on all the puppet strings. They're going to have him dancing around in the pocket on the puppet string. Oh, I got to get rid of the ball. I got to get rid of the ball. I mean, this is going to be the ultimate puppet string KOC experiment. You know, hope it works.
Hope it does too. I feel like
here comes the defender. Oh, no. Mr. Bill. Oh, Mr. Cousins, what happened? I lost my head.
So right now, there's basically 4 guys, Judd, I believe, that they're looking at right guard spots. And this doesn't even include the draft, which we're still 3 weeks away. And by the way, if you didn't hear in the last episode, live draft night, Surly Brew Hall coming out with us.
On that?
I'll forward those to you. I don't know. We're going to be hanging out at Surly. It's going to be badass. It's going to be a lot of fun.
First round only, that Thursday night.
Yeah, just that night. And we're making
TVs will be in play. So you can watch.
And an exclusive tap-only beer.
Yes.
The Before I Die.
Yes. And we will want you involved.
Yes.
So there will be a camera. There will be a microphone.
Yes.
So this is not a come watch Phil
and stay away from us,
Judd and Declan, while we tell you what's what. Oh, no. That's not how we operate here.
No.
Not in the Purple Daily Club.
Other stations might do that, not us. We don't do that.
I don't want to talk about different stations. I want to talk
people.
about us. I don't want to talk about different people. I want to talk about us. We're not going to tell you what's what. We are going to share in a festive night at which, and I can tell you right now, I can't speak for Phil. I can speak for me, possibly for you. Not only will the Before I Die beer be unveiled that night only at Surly Brewing, but I will be taking part in them as well.
Yes.
While we are on the YouTube.
I may or may have not gotten, had a few too many at last year's draft party at home. So I'm excited what happens in a live studio audience at Surly Brew Hall. I can't confirm or deny what will happen.
And by the way, just last thing, if you are Uber or what's the other big Lyft? Let me tell you right now, Purple Daily could jump on board the official ride home of Judd Zolgad.
Yeah, could be. Could very well be.
I've always been amazed at people that are like, you probably shouldn't say that. Hold on a second. Not driving's responsible.
No, I think it's another issue with a client. It's not the moral responsibility you did there wrong. It's something else. But back on track here on our comments edition, there's 4 guards. Mm-hmm. Now, before we get to the draft that I think they're looking at, right? I think it's Chris Reed. I think Reed has the leg up. Like if camp started today, I think Reed gets the first look with the first team as the first crack of being your starting right guard.
I agree with that.
Then I think second is most likely Jesse Davis, who they brought in, this other guy from the Dolphins.
Yep.
And then third and fourth, Oli Udoh, Wyatt Davis. right? I think those 4 guys, with Davis being most likely the starter.
Bye, Pat.
And Pat Royce making his appearance.
He forgot his glasses.
I am not shocked at all.
Phone and glasses.
Phone
Okay, well,
and
that's
glasses from Pat. Between
Got his
Davis,
keys. Yep.
Reed, Ole Udo,
Yeah.
Wyatt Davis. Those are your 4 guys that are looking to start at right guard.
Yep. I'd say that's so I would put that in order. I'd say Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. I don't know where Davis ranks in their mind. I've got to think Udo's last.
Mm-hmm.
He can't play the position. It wasn't fair. He's
Right.
a tackle. So I think, yeah. And the thing with Jesse Davis was he signed to really compete, or is it sort of a sham competition, but he would be the swing guy? I think Jesse Davis is the new Rashad Hill in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be the swing guy. But yes, I think your names are absolutely accurate.
All right, another more draft questions here. Transitioning to the draft. Kid Beast says, I would be upset if Stingley was available and we took an edge rusher. I want Gardner, Stingley, or the Iowa center, which I believe is Tyler Lindenbaum, as
That's
he's
correct.
referencing here. So
Yeah,
in his order,
I don't want a first round center
he'd
anymore.
want Gardner or Stingley, so which one of the 2 cornerbacks, if they were on the board, as one of the first 2 options, or Tyler Lindenbaum as the center. Judd, what would you kind of rank if you are Kwesi? What's your strategy here? Are you going best player available? Are you looking at cornerback? What would be the Judd Zolgadian plan?
Well, I think Sauce Gardner of Cincinnati is expected to be gone by that pick. If he's there, I think they would take him. I think he would be a surprise to be there at 12. So I think that's a best player available at a position of need. The Stingley one is interesting. He's coming off a Liz Frank injury, which is ordinarily bad, but he's going to do reportedly all of the work at his pro day.
And he is apparently healthy.
And he's supposedly fine now.
I saw that on Monday
So
morning.
that's intriguing. Now, and I believe I got into this on Monday's Purple Daily as well, so I'll be brief, but keep in mind, the Vikings may have, I think it was O'Connell, made it very clear, or was it Kwesi? I forget. Anyway, they made it very clear that the reliance on the cornerbacks in this 3-4 base defense is not going to be the same as it was in Mike's defense. And in Zimmer's defense, the reliance on the cornerbacks was huge. There was a lot to do and a lot of responsibility. I think their feeling is if they can create a rush, that's going to help the corners and defer some of the responsibility from them. So they might be thinking about this completely differently. The one thing that we need to be prepared for is the thought process of positional value is probably going to change, because the philosophy, the personnel decisions are going to change. This is a long way of saying I don't know. It's a long way of saying I don't know, and I don't think that it's fair. We're basing things on how the Vikings defense ran previously. It's not going to run that way now.
No.
You also, when it comes to Zadarius Smith, have no idea how long he can play for. He's got a bad back. He had a bad back. So like this whole thing about, well, they're set now with their edge rushers, not necessarily true. So if they go defensive end, pass rusher first end, I am not going to be surprised.
A few more draft ideas here, and I saw this floating around even more in our YouTube comment section, but I'll take Miguel's comment. He says, we need to draft a wide receiver to be a juggernaut on offense at pick number 12. So looking at big boards, Judd, Drake London, and I'm looking at PFF, this big board here.
All right.
Drake London from USC is the 11th best prospect on the big board. At 12, it's Garrett Wilson, also from Ohio State. Drake London is 6'5", 210, led at college football last year in contested catches. Garrett Wilson, they call him the natural. Wilson's ability to generate separation is the best in the class. He's also produced high level from the slot. 74% of his snaps were from the slot, and could be a very solid wide receiver as well. Likelihood, percent chance, Judd, to you that they take a wide receiver at pick 12.
Well, I can't dismiss it because I don't know them well enough, but I'm going to go, unless somebody falls that they love, I'm going to go 5%.
I think that's fair. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think it's very low. I don't know what they think of KJ Osborne. I know that they know
he's had a nice season.
Thielen's aging. Another potential wild card of interest to me is I believe he was a 5th round pick last year, Amir Smith-Marset, the kid from Iowa.
Right.
But I just don't see them with all of their needs and all of the players available, unless somebody just shockingly free fell that they loved, which I don't think is going to happen. 5%.
Yeah, 5 seems fair because even like obviously it feels like cornerback and edge right are 1 and 2. How you want to put 1 or 2 is up to you, but I feel like I give a slight edge to cornerback over edge. So if we're making a pie chart of probability, which honestly that might be a good show. I'm gonna put a email note in that.
Put a pin in that and then bring it back.
A pie chart of what draft needs could be.
Pie chart of probability. You said it.
Yeah, pie chart of probability. I think the biggest chunk would go to cornerback. And that's still only at though like 30 to 40%.
Right, because you can't dismiss edge.
It's not even a surefire 50%. Like as I say, surefire is a coin flip, but like it's not a humongous chunk of pie that's going to be cornerback. So I wide receiver, unless one of those two guys were there, or maybe even they traded back and we're still able to get like a wide out. I guess I put it 5%. Very rare.
The only thing that I will go on the record and take a leap on here is I'll put an 85% probability on they go defense.
Yeah.
With pick 12. I don't think they're going offense.
Yeah, actually, that's actually a good way to look at it.
Now, if they trade back, like if Pittsburgh comes up from 20 to 12.
That shrinks.
To get the quarterback.
Yeah.
Willis, then that shrinks.
Correct.
But you're not going to take a center at 12. There's no way you're taking a center.
I'm not doing that. I got Bradbury PTSD either. I'm not doing that.
I agree with that.
Casey says, I think the Vikings need a better backup QB. If Cousins gets injured at any point in the season, it's game over. Mannion bleeps. I can't say what he says there. Do you guys think that the Vikings take a quarterback in any round during this year's draft? I'll put the same question back on you, Judd. Percent chance they take a quarterback at any point in the 7 rounds.
I think the new philosophy is actually to take one at some point in time just to see what you've got. So I think I'm going to put it at, so we're talking about the entire draft here.
Yeah, the entire draft.
Yeah. I'm going to put it at 45%.
Okay.
They also might think Kellen Mond can't play. So like if they think that, it doesn't hurt you to accumulate them and develop them. Like there's no downside. Now, if you take them too high, that's stupid. But, Dex, let's say they take one between rounds, let's say they take a Saturday quarterback.
Yeah, right.
I think that's a pretty high chance.
Yeah.
Because by that point, you're taking flyers. You're definitely taking guys that you hope can contribute on special teams. But remember, this is now a quarterback or a former quarterback coach. Like O'Connell played, he didn't play well and he didn't play much, but he played for the Patriots. So I think it's probably a good guess that they very well could on Saturday take a quarterback, especially if they think Mond stinks. And my guess is that they will have watched enough film on Mond to have a pretty good idea from practices of what they think he can and can't do.
Yeah, it's probably a safe assumption. Few more here, just a few more. And without opening up a whole can of worms, but I love this question from Paul here, Judd. And it could set Judd Zulgad off a little bit. He says, question, can we assume the reasons Rick was let go was that he wanted to start over and the Wilfs were the ones that wanted Cousins all along?
No, I don't think, no. I'm not discounting that completely. Here's what I think happened. I think Rick was set to come back, and I think somebody, and I think that Mike probably played a role, got to the Wilfs and said, if I'm going down, he's got to go down too. And I think that was the bigger factor. I still don't know the entire story, and I don't know that is ever going to all come out, but I don't discount that the Wilfs thought that they could win, and that Rick was like, well, but if Rick was going to stick around and Rick was going to be in charge of helping to bring in essentially his GM replacement, I don't think Rick was going to blow up the entire team he built. That doesn't really track to me. So I think this was more about the fact that Rick got stabbed in the back at the end, much like a Shakespearean play.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't be surprised if Mike played a role. I think there's a lot better chance that took place than Rick said, let's blow her up. It's all bad now. Because that basically would have been Rick signing his own GM death certificate. I don't see him doing that.
Paul says, would Livia sponsor a Score North swimsuit calendar featuring the new Judd Zulgad.
You don't want to see my unclad belly.
What are you talking about? You're 35, almost 40 pounds down from your friends at Livia, and you would still not do a swimsuit calendar edition if Livia sponsored it?
I would not take off my shirt for anybody.
Really?
You know my rules.
Yes. Yeah.
I never take my shirt off.
But they ironed your shirt for you at your last weigh-in. You told me that.
And the people there, the ladies were so nice to me. They didn't just, they steamed it for me.
I have a steamer at home.
For my photo shoot.
I don't like
They
ironing.
steamed it.
I don't like ironing. I'm a big steamer. You get a little handheld
I
one.
iron.
I hate ironing.
Well, wait, what's the difference? So like the steamer is just
the steamer,
a
in
more
my
effective
opinion,
iron, right?
is I don't like the ironing. You got to heat it up, and then you're always worried about maybe
What don't you
burning
like?
something. I don't like it.
like, what are you going to burn? I sort of get your point, but
Like burn yourself.
well, don't ever touch the iron and you won't burn yourself.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I
scary.
don't like it,
I'm
but
a
I
big fan of
do
the
it.
steamer, and it's kind of cool.
But the steamer
steam comes out.
but steam hurts.
Yeah, be
Like
careful.
you got to be careful of steam too. Steam can burn you really badly. A lot of people have been burned bad by steam. It's a sad story. Yes. So, am I supposed to do a spot
Yeah,
here?
you know what? Do it. May as well.
Okay. All right. Because I didn't know. I thought you might be transitioning to a spot, but I wasn't positive. But you know what? Since we're here, I'd like to talk about my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. They are, as I said, the nicest people around. You know what the best part is, Declan? No guilt trips. No guilt trips. You don't get the old, you put on a couple of pounds. This is a problem, or what did you do wrong? You know what you get? You get, and this is the key. This is the key in any good team. So I'm going to draw a parallel right now to the local National Hockey League team. It's teamwork. And the folks at Livia believe in teamwork. And so when you go in for your consultation, you don't get like a condescending view of you've gained weight or you're not doing this. You get what's working, what's not working, and how can we help? And right now, I want to give you the opportunity to shed those pounds, just like I have, as Deck said, right around 40 pounds. Get 25% off the program plus 35 meals for free. Livia.com, Livea.com, 855, go Livea. And last thing, too. So I said your consultation. So right now you're saying, well, Judd, I'm a Vikings fan. And I'd like to lose some weight, but I'm in Florida. How am I can't drive up there. I can't fly up there. I'm not rich. You don't have to be. You know what? Online virtual consultations. Food sent to you. Convenient as it gets. Same people, same teamwork, different mode. 855, go Livea, Livia.com, 25% off the program and 35 meals for free. Start today. Start losing the weight through teamwork like I have.
All right, I teased it. I teased it at the top of the show. The Blackhawk crew, and he does not spell this like the Chicago Blackhawks either.
Two words?
BLKHWK, like it's completely abbreviated. When people compare Judd to an air fryer, I said no flipping way. An air fryer has more uses than Judd. But hearing these last episodes, I finally was able to figure out that Judd is an old cutting board. The Vikings have abused him and cut him too deep, whereas the cuts can no longer be sanded smooth. Judd Zulgad, you are the old
well, I'm dirty
cutting
now, though.
board.
Yeah, but this is a problem because that means the bacteria of the Viking stench is in me, and if that's the case, I'm useless.
Well, I don't know if you're useless. I mean, some people, like I've had an old cutting board that I've used for years that I swear by.
You got to be careful with those, though.
I swear by.
Make sure they're clean, man. This is like bacteria gets in
yeah,
there.
you
It can be a
wash it.
problem.
You wash
You got to
it.
make sure that's cleaned out good.
You're the cutting board. I think you are. I think you're the cutting board.
Yeah, but I bring a lot to the table on hot sports takes. That's an air fryer thing.
No, but like a cutting board.
I mean, I get the point.
You can cut meat, you can cut veggies, you can cut cheese, you can cut. There's plenty of things to cut, and you know how to, and you got to cut things differently too, right? You can't just cut things all the same way.
I feel like in football that this is accurate, but I feel like in sports, I'm more useful.
Okay.
But I mean, I do like it.
All right.
Don't get me wrong. I like it.
All right. Well, that's
and you know what? I appreciate the effort right there. I appreciate the effort.
It's pretty good. All right. That's our comments edition.
All right.
From YouTube. Phil, live from with Joe Burrow's house. Well, I can't speak for that. Live in Cincinnati this week. So we will be recording Purple Dailies with Phil.
He was
and
not
Bo.
live. He's going to be on record. We're going to record at night.
Record.
But
But
Purple Daily
I
ain't
don't know.
going
Is he going to be
anywhere.
at Burrow's? He might be at the Burrow household. I don't know.
As long as
Maybe
he's
with
on,
Zach
write
Taylor.
that down.
Yeah, we'll have write that down. Predictions this week. Plenty of stuff to come. Purple Daily, the Minnesota Vikings podcast, 7 days a week. Rate, subscribe, like this video. We appreciate you guys.